Welcome back to the Engineer System. We're trying to make sense of the guitar fretboard here, and the topic of this video is playing single note sequences useful in playing melodies and soloing. I hope you've come from the intro video, where I covered building the diagram we're going to be using in this video. The basic structure this will form around will be the pentatonic scale. There are two varieties of the scale, minor and major, both containing 5 notes. The 5 notes used are a subset of the full 8-note scale. For major, the pentatonic uses the 1, 2, 3, 5 and 6 notes of the full major scale. For minor, the notes are 1, 3, 4, 5 and 7. Note that both scales contain the 1, the 3 and the 5, making it possible to play the basic triad chord. The approach I'm taking here is working in small bits that are easy to grasp and building up to a larger whole. I'm also trying to show that there's no actual difference where you start at on the fretboard. In my mind, the best first goal is to deal with an octave from root to root, so that's what I'm focusing on. Let's look at 4-note sequences, where you play 2 notes on one string and 2 on the next. Right now I'm not playing any particular scale, I'm just playing the 4-note sequences at one single point on the next so it's easier to follow. There are 4 alternatives when you're moving to a string other than the B. When moving to the B string, there are 4 different shapes. Whenever you're playing 3 notes on one string, try all the possible alternatives for moving your hand. These are using 3 fingers, either the 1st, 2nd and 4th, or the 1st, 3rd and 4th. Moving your hand up after the first note. Moving your hand up after the second note. Sliding to the second or third note without playing the slide target note. Sliding to the second or third note and playing the slide target. Also, experiment with slide timing. Sliding right away and waiting to slide give a different feeling. A great exercise is moving from root to root and ending there on the same finger you started with. There are 2 basic moves you can do for both minor and major going up an octave. The first is a really cool simple form that only involves 3 blocks. Hang on, what's going on here? Why did I put my hand there? Did I get your attention? This is the most important lesson of this video. I placed my hand over here because I felt like playing in C major, and there's a C root note on the 3rd fret of the A string. I knew that, but I didn't have to. I could have just decided that, this feels like the fret I want to go from right now. So I looked at the diagram and found the root note on the A string. It's right here, Now that I know where I am, I can start playing stuff relative to this route based on the diagram. Remember that the guitar neck just loops shapes up and down as well as across the neck. I could just as easily have picked any other point on the A string and applied this. As we move forward, I will be picking my roots more or less randomly, but I will indicate the position on the screen so you can check the diagram and make sure you are on the map. Okay, let's get back to the video. Note that it starts on the first finger and ends on the first finger. Also remember the B string rule of moving one fret up when you hit the B string. Here's a timing trick. Since the pentatonic is 5 notes, it doesn't fall on 4 beat bars conveniently. However, if you combine the 2 notes involved in the slide into one beat, you shorten it to 4 and can play 2 octaves as 2 4-beat bars. The second major root to root move goes like this. See how positioning the slide differently gives both options a distinct feel. The 2 basic moves for minor go like this. Moving down root to root is different. There's nothing preventing you from simply reversing the ascending movement, but you'll find that sliding up, either using the third or fourth finger, isn't a natural movement. You can simply move the slide to the first finger. Or you can look up a different root. You may want to play a descending line on its own as well. In that case, starting with the fourth finger may be more natural. For this case, you can find a different move. After you're familiar with these basics, you will want to look for more exotic options and start figuring out what feels comfortable and how you can stretch your limits. For example, you can go a long way up the neck in just 1 octave. an ascending run can actually get you into a lower position on the neck. Spend a while just looking at the diagram each day and try different ways of getting from A to B. Gradually form larger shapes as you move around. Try to noodle around the scale from one side of the neck to the other, as well as up and down the neck using the rules and shapes you've learned. Always try to keep a mental image of where the closest root note is, so you can get your bearings. At this point, things should start feeling more like having a good time than trying to squeeze a square peg into a round hole. The next step is targeting chord tones. These are the root, the third, and the fifth. They are marked on the diagram, the third with number 3 in it, and the fifth with solid circle. How you want to go about this is to always have the intent to move towards one of the chord tones. You can jump to them directly, or go through a passing tone in between. Sliding or bending to a chord tone can be especially effective. You can start or stop on a third or fifth the same as you would on the root, but this leads to a completely different feeling. Let me play you some examples. Now the best way forward is practice. Keep the diagram at hand at first. You can even play with your eye on the diagram, but try to start learning the layout of the shapes by heart. As I mentioned earlier, try to visualize the closest root note in your head while you're moving around. One of the best ways is to make licks. Really effective solos don't necessarily move around so much when you look at them. Think of it as licks and you can concentrate on timing and the musical aspects. I'll give one example I came up with to conclude this video. The target notes I used were these. First I started on the fifth and root. Then I went through a passing note and the third back to the root. From the root I went to the third and bended up to the fifth. And it ended back on the third. Then I played through the fifth to the root position. And from here I made a small descending figure followed by an ascending figure targeting the root and the third on the high E string. And then after a small zigzag pattern I ended up on the root again. Thanks for watching this video on single note runs. The next video will be on chord triads. I hope what I covered here will make things clearer and practicing more fun. See you in the next video.